Right, now let's get more on this story that the FA has concluded that the former Crawley manager John Yems is, quote, not a conscious racist. That's despite detailing a string of offensive racial remarks. The conclusions of the report have been met with criticism due to the nature of those remarks, which some viewers may find upsetting. Now, we're now going to speak live, in fact, to Yunus Lunat, who is the former chair of the FA Race Equality and Advisory Board and the first Muslim member of the FA Council as well. Yunus, thank you so much for joining us on Sky Sports News this afternoon. Firstly, what are your initial thoughts on this report by the FA panel?
It's a reasoned, detailed judgment, written reasons that have been provided. The headline seems to be the fact that there's been a determination there that he's not a racist. Now, what we've got to bear in mind is it's not part of the remit of the panel to determine whether anybody that appears before them is or is not a racist. You know, the remit is to simply to make a determination on the allegations, on the conduct, and whether that conduct or those instances on those occasions amounted to discriminatory behaviour. It's for the reader, the peers of Mr. Yems, to determine whether he's a racist or not. It's not really the remit of the panel to make a judgment on that. Now, I know in this instance they have actually determined that he's not a racist. Now, the Commission heard the evidence. They've explained as to why they make that determination, and perhaps on reflection, it should have been left neutral, that it's not our remit to make a determination whether he's a racist or not. But what the Commission have said is that, in a nutshell, he's old school. He's not one for the niceties of political correctness. In this day and age, people would judge whether that is racist or not, perhaps differently.
Fascinating. So, in your opinion, Yunus, does a report like this then undermine the FA, would you say?
No, it doesn't. Because, to be fair to the Commission, they're independently appointed persons who are not part of the FA. They have a role to play. It doesn't undermine the role, what the FA, what the football are trying to do in eradicating discrimination. But because what it does show is that when complaints are made, they are dealt with appropriately. Now, what is the issue that we're taking with this? Is the issue that he's been dealt with leniently? I don't think so, because this is a regulatory environment. And what the FA can't do is the FA can't, what people are trying to clamour for, that he shouldn't work in football. He should be sacked. That's an employer and employee issue. That's a matter for his club as to whether he's dismissed or remains in post or not. The FA have regulations that say what the sanction should be for discriminatory offences, and he has been banned for, I think it's up to the end of next season, which is a fairly harsh, it's quite a harsh, I think you'd be far pushed to find a more harsher sanction for discriminatory conduct. It takes into account the fact that this conduct took place over a sustained period of time, the fact he was a manager in a position of authority, the effect it's had on the individuals concerned who are young players. So it does take all that into account. And as I say, what the FA cannot do, what people are clamoring for, is that he should be sacked. That's not the role of the FA, I'm afraid.
Is there a chance, Yunus, that the FA themselves could take issue with this outcome, which has been sort of made by the panel? And if you could, explain to us how this panel is put together.
Well, can the FA take issue, firstly? Yes, they can. It's always open to as it is to the participant who appears before them to appeal. If the FA think that this was an unduly lenient sanction, then the FA could appeal the sanction themselves, and they have done so, and they've done so successfully in the past as well. But what you've got to bear in mind is this is the first offence that was committed by John Yems. For a first offence, the recommended sanction is a suspension of between 6 and 12 games. It's within that range. It's probably higher than that range, taking into account the cumulative nature, cumulative offences that were dealt with and that were found proven. So it is a harsher, lengthier sanction that you would normally expect somebody to receive for a first offence. So questionable whether it's appealable or not. But as I say, in answer to your question, it is open to the FA to appeal if they so wished.
Kick It Out are unhappy with the findings and the 15-month ban. They say that football's got a problem in establishing what's appropriate and what would be inappropriate behaviour. Do you sympathise with Kick It Out?
Yes, I do, because of the historical problems and how we've got to where we are. Because what's been missed here for me is that he's been in the game for a long time. He's described as a successful, experienced manager. What my question is, how has he got away with this all this time? There are people within the game who have come across John Yems before. It's not the first time he's done it. It's not the first job that he's probably behaved like this. Why has he not been exposed before? If you read the decision, you know, there are people that are named within there who were aware of this behaviour, who failed to report it, failed to take appropriate action. And that question calls into question more about the culture of football, the people working in football, whether we are really calling it out. You know, these are the conversations that we should be having. Yes, but when you then look at the bigger picture, as I said in my introductory, this is a regulatory environment. And is there any profession that would ban somebody for 15 months for committing discriminatory conduct or behaviour? Probably not. So this is a harsh sanction when you take into account that it's in a regulatory environment for a first offence. And the important fact for me now is what it does demonstrate is that there is a process. Complaints are made, complaints are investigated, they actually go to a hearing, a determination is made, and a sanction is imposed upon the participant. Yes, we can have a debate and have a sensible debate about whether that sanction is appropriate or not. But what it does show is, contrast to what used to happen, is that complaints are actually dealt with appropriately now, and people are accountable for behaviour.
And just before I let you go, Yunus, we really do appreciate your insight today. This quote from the panel that John Yems is, they said, not a conscious racist, despite all the evidence that they had, and I've read through the comments that have been made. Sol Bambo was on the show earlier. He said this decision or this outcome might stop other players from speaking out publicly because they think, well, what's the point? You know, is that a fear that you would share? Might there be players out there who've suffered racial discrimination who might think, well, what's the point in saying anything because ultimately, you know, I'm not going to get backed?
I think what we've got to, it comes back to what I've said. What we've got to take from this is that when a complaint is made, how is it handled? Now, players have got to realise, participants in the game have got to realise that and then the scope needs to change then. And I don't think it's right for the determining panel to actually make a finding whether the person is racist or not. The remit of the panel is to hear the evidence, come to a decision on whether the conduct or conducts alleged on this occasion fell below the standard expected and amounted to discriminatory behaviour. In many instances, what you'll find is comments will be made in the heat of the moment. That does not necessarily mean that that person is a racist. That's for the peers of that person to judge. It's not the role of the panel to actually label somebody a racist. What I would say is that if somebody repeats a pattern of behaviour, then it's likely that he is going to be determined or deemed as a person, as a racist person by his peers. That's for his peers to judge. I don't think that's for the panel to make a determination on, and I don't think it's for the FA to actually make a determination on.
Yeah, OK, Yunus, that's an excellent point, well made. We really appreciate your time today on Sky Sports News. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.